Poland is a part of the global tourism market with constantly increasing number of visitors. Tourism in Poland contributes to the country's overall economy. The most popular cities are Kraków, Warsaw, Wrocław, Gdańsk, Poznań, Szczecin, Lublin, Toruń, Zakopane, the salt mine in Wieliczka and the historic site of Auschwitz, a German Nazi concentration camp in Oświęcim. The best recreational destinations include Poland's Masurian Lake District, Baltic Sea coast, Tatra Mountains, Sudetes and Białowieża Forest. Poland's main tourist offers consist of sightseeing within cities, historical monuments, natural monuments, business trips, agrotourism, bicycle touring, qualified tourism, mountain hiking and climbing among others. Overview Other Poland's top-rating destinations: Auschwitz concentration camp, UNESCO World Heritage Site European Bison at Białowieża Forest, a UNESCO World Heritage Site and Biosphere Reserve Wieliczka salt mine, with 1.2 million visitors annually. Medieval Malbork Castle in Malbork, northern Poland. Masurian Lake District, with more than 2,000 lakes. Pictured. Marina in Mikołajki Resort Town. See also, List of World Heritage Sites of Poland and List of Historic Monuments in the 21st century. Poland is one of the safest countries in Europe, very often visited by tourists. Poland, especially after joining the European Union in 2004 and acceding to the Schengen Agreement in 2007, became a place frequently visited by tourists. Most tourist attractions in Poland are connected with natural environment, historic sites and cultural events. According to Tourist Institute's data, Poland was visited by 15.7 million tourists in 2006, and by 15 million tourists in 2007, out of the number of arrivals 66.2 million. In 2012, Poland was visited by 13.5 million foreign tourists. In 2013, Poland was visited by 15.8 million tourists. In 2016, the number of arrivals to Poland amounted to 80.5 million. 17.5 million of this number are arrivals considered for tourism purposes. In 2019, Poland was visited by 21.4 million tourists, making it the 18th most visited country in the world. History: The first Polish tourists were pilgrims traveling to shrines both within Poland and abroad. The development of commercial tourism began in the 19th century. The most popular regions were mountains, especially the Tatra Mountains, explored for example by Titus Chałabinski. In 1873, the Polish Tatra Society and in 1909 the Polish Sightseeing Society were established to organize and develop tourism. The 19th century was also the time of the rapid appearance of spa resorts, mostly in Sudetes, Beskids and along the Baltic Sea coast, with some of them associated, since 1910, with the Polish Balneology Association. After Poland regained independence in 1918, Polish tourism boomed, and was encouraged by the government. The first professional Polish tour operator, Orbis, was founded in Lwów in 1923, followed in 1937 by Gromada Tourist Organization and tour operator. After World War II, all tourist organizations were nationalized by the new communist government. The Polish Tatra Society and Polish Sightseeing Society were combined into Polish Tourism Sightseeing Society, and most of the tourist infrastructure was handed over to the newly created Workers' Vacations Fund. Tourism was limited to the Comecon countries. This was the era of governmentally founded tourism, characterized by mass but low-standard tourism. A typical site was a holiday campground with small bungalows managed by one of the state-owned companies. Holidays for children and teenagers were organized by Juventor. After the fall of communism, much of the infrastructure was privatized, although many company-owned resorts were downgraded because of their unprofitability. The early 1990s saw the foundation of many new tour operators. Some of them prevailed and strengthened their position on the market, being able to compete with multinational tour operators. Natural environment: Poland has a diversified natural environment, which is relatively unaffected by human development. There are 23 national parks in the country that meet the criteria of the IUCN. Visitors are attracted by mountains, seacoast with wide sandy beaches, and forests, lakes, rivers. Among the most popular destinations are Tatra Mountains, in which is the highest peak of Poland and the famous Orla Perk; Sudetes with main Sudetes Trail; Karkonosze, Table Mountains, Owl Mountains; Białowieża Forest, Lower Silesian Wilderness; Bieszczada, Dunajec River Gorge in Pieninie, Pojezierze Mazurskie and many others. Tourist destinations: the Royal Road of Kraków. Tourist attractions in Warsaw: Wrocław Zoo, hunting on the Wrocław's dwarfs; Wrocław Old Town including Ostrów Tumski with Wrocław Cathedral; Market Square with Wrocław Old City Hall; Centennial Hall; Wrocław Opera Old Town in Gdańsk, the Royal Imperial Route in Poznań, Jewish Heritage Trail in Białystok, European Route of Brick Gothic, Białowieża National Park, Dunajec River Gorge, Tatra Mountains, Karkonosze Mountains, Kraków Old Town, Auschwitz-Birkenau State Museum, Krasinski Palace, 13th century Wieliczka Salt Mine, medieval town of Toruń, Old City of Zamość, Wilanów Palace, Jasna Góra Monastery in Częstochowa, Cistercian Lubiaz Abbey, Cistercian Rzeszów Abbey, Royal Gniezno Cathedral, wooden churches of southern Little Poland, wooden churches of peace in Jawor and Swidnica Sanctuary in Kalwaria Zebradowska, Poznań Old Town and its Ostrów Tumski, Poznań Mount Sleza in the Sudetes Klojko Fortress Complex, Szczecin Palace, Augusto Canal with Sluses, Benedictine Abbey in Tyniec, Muskau Park shared with Germany, Palace on the Isle, Frombork Cathedral, Lankit Palace, Kozłowka Palace, historic town of Sandomierz, Kazimierz Dolny National Museum in Warsaw, seaside resort of Sopot, Branicki Palace, historic town of Klojko Elblag Canal, spa town of Kudowa Zdrój, Palace of the Krakow Bishops in Kielce, historic town of Wadowice, Czartoryski Museum, National Museum in Wrocław, National Museum in Poznań, Święta Lipka Basilica, historical town of Przemyśl, seaside resort of Kolobrzeg, Julius Slowacki Theatre, Lad Abbey, historic town of Jelenia Góra, Zakopane, known as the winter capital of Poland, spa town of Karpax, Royal Baths Park, Collegiate Church of St. Mary and St. Alexius in Tum, Planivica Palace Project, Ries Wolf's Lair, WUWA Castles, Wawel Royal Castle in Warsaw, Nijica Castle, Malbork Castle, Buranau, Sandomierski Castle, Kasiaz Castle, Nowy Wisnich Castle, Chocha Castle, Mozna Castle, Ujazdowski Castle, Imperial Castle, Poznań Grodzik Castle, Krasiczen Castle, Pieskowa Skala, Lidzbark, Werminski Castle, Kwidzyn Castle, Goluchow Castle, Klichikow Castle, Golub Dobrzyn Castle, Krystopor Ogrodzinik Castle, Rzeszów Castle, Dunajec River Castles, Chojnik Castle, Kornik Castle, Bobolis Castle, Bedzin Castle, Pomeranian Dukes Castle, Szczecin Bido Castle, Tension Castle, Balków Castle, Zursk Castle, Ciechano Castle, Lublin Castle, Unijow Castle, Darlowo Castle, Bielsko Biala Museum and Castle, Sanik Castle, Jikow Castle, cultural events, Warsaw International Frederick Chopin Piano Competition, Warsaw Autumn Music Festival, Warsaw International Film Festival, Jazz Jamboree, Orange Warsaw Festival, Ursunalia, Warsaw Student Festival, Festival of Jewish Culture in Warsaw, Warsaw Comic Con, Parada Ronoshi, Krakow Live Music Festival, Krakow Film Festival, Jewish Culture Festival in Krakow, Konrad Festival, Floating of the Wreaths, Krakow Szopka Nativity Kresh Festival, International Film Festival, Etiuda and Anima International Festival of Independent Cinema Off Plus Camera, Krakow Equality March, Wrocław, Radoslavia Cantons, New Horizons Film Festival, Festival of Good Beer, American Film Festival, Poznań Animator Henryk Wieniawski Violin Competition, Malta Festival, Poznań International Fair, Tri-City Street Dominic's Fair in Gdańsk, Sopot International Song Festival, Open Air Festival in Gdynia, Gdynia Film Festival, Gdańsk Shakespeare Festival, Lodz Transatlantic Festival, International Festival of Comics and Games, Soundedit Festival, Lodz Design Festival, Lodz Biennale, Katowice, Grzegorz Feidelberg International Competition for Conductors Off Festival in Katowice, Other Camerimage Film Festival in Bydgoszcz, Polandirock Festival in Kostrzyn nad Odra, National Festival of Polish Song in Opole, International Cycling Film Festival, Szczecin Festival of Contemporary Painting 2, Riverside's Film and Art Festival in Kazimierz Dolny. Tourist resorts. There are dozens of sea resorts on the coast of Baltic Sea like Wolin Island, located close to the German border, and the coast of Pomerania. In southern Poland there are resorts for skiing and hiking in the Karkonosze Mountains, which is part of the Sudetes mountain range. Karkonosze includes the tourist centers of Karpax and Szklarska Poręba. Other famous resorts for skiing and hiking include in Carpathian Mountains, Zakopane in the Tatra Mountains, Szczecin, Krynica Zdrój, Ustron, Wisła in the Beskids or Szownica and Kraszinko in Pininy Mountains. Christian pilgrimage. It's estimated that 13% of visitors of the Basilica of Our Lady of Lichen arrive from abroad. Jasna Góra Monastery was visited by 3.6 million of pilgrims from 78 countries in 2014. Transport in Poland. Tourist infrastructure and facilities are abundant, especially in larger cities and in major tourist resorts. In large Polish cities, urban public transport is very well developed. The biggest cities have international airports with connections with many European cities and with the Frederick Chopin International Airport in Warsaw, which is the main hub of LOT Polish Airlines. Intercity connections are offered by PKP Intercity, Polregio, Arriva RP, Leo Express, RegioJet, local trains and PKSs, Flixbus, as well as many smaller companies. There are also coach connections to other countries provided by various companies. Connections by ferry to Sweden and Denmark through the Baltic Sea are, for example, from Gdańsk, Gdynia and Świnoujście.